Hey everybody, and welcome to AvidMax Tying Tuesdays. Today we're going to show you how to tie a Flashabou Prince Nymph. Just like usual, this is the TMC 2487. We're doing a size 16 today. And then I have a brass bead on here. This is a copper 5/64 brass bead. It's going to be kind of an emerger pattern, so I don't want too much weight on it. We're going to rib our fly today with a little bit of small copper wire to match that bead. And then we're going to have some goose buyouts in brown for the tail. We're going to use white goose buyouts for the wings on this, the wing buds. Our main body of the fly is going to be the Flashabou tinsel and pearl. It's got a nice greenish, bluish hue to it. Really nice look. And then we're going to finish it off. Our thorax is going to be utilizing a little bit of the UV ice dub. This is the peacock eye color. And then the thread we're going to use today is a Vivis 16/0 in black. So we're going to start right behind the bead with our thread, some locking wraps just to get that on there as we usually do. And we can clip out our excess and work back to tying the tails. So I'm going to work to keep my body nice and smooth because we're going to just put some tinsel over top of this, and I want it to be a nice transition all the way up. So we'll work back, grab my goose buyouts in brown here. Got a couple that I clipped off already. And we're just going to fix these facing away from each other so they splay out nicely. You can tie in one at a time, two at a time, whatever you're most comfortable with, but I'm going to measure right about the shank of that hook again, maybe just slightly shorter for this fly. And position those and tie them in here. Make sure you got them where you want them before you cinch it all down. And pull that tight. And then I always use my finger just to keep them splaying out as I wrap back a little bit and fix them to the hook. Just like so. And then we'll take our thread up. I'm going to use these goose buyouts to make sure that my body stays consistent all the way up to the thorax. And then we'll jump in front of them because that just helps me clip them out of there nicely. Move the rotary vise for turning it around to get easy access to things. But then we'll work on back here, and we're going to tie in a couple more materials for our body. First one we're going to do is a little bit of copper wire, the small copper wire here. And again, I'm going to make that about the length of my abdomen, where I tie it in at. And we'll take our thread up to the thorax again, just make sure we got our smooth body still. And then we can come on back and work in the pearlescent tinsel here. This is a real flashy pattern. It's a nice attractor pattern. If you have any kind of mayfly action, it's a good imitation for that. Attractor imitation, that is, not a realistic fly. But we're going to add a little bit of Flashabou. This is our flashy color, obviously. It'll be the main body of our fly. So we'll tie that in right over top of the gold wire. Always want to tie in the material that you're going to wrap first, tie it in last so that it's on top. And then it just is nice and clean, wrapping everything down. So once we have this tinsel tied in on the body, then we will come back through and wrap it down. So we'll come to the front, half hitch. And we can throw that out of the way on our bobbin cradle here. And so we're going to do real close touching wraps on this, just making sure that we cover up all of that black thread. And if you do some different thread colors underneath the Flashabou, you get a slightly different look. You can do some olives, some browns, different things like that. I think the black kind of just helps the Flashabou maintain its natural color there. So it creates a nice look when the fly is all done. But just keeping tension, tight palmer wraps, touching palmer wraps all the way up to the front. we'll wrap into our thorax here, just making sure to cover everything. So we can capture that. Just like so. Clip out the excess. And then bring up our wire. You could leave this body without the wire. I like the wire just because the Flashabou is pretty brittle. If you catch a couple of fish on it, you might have it cut into and then it'll unspool on you, so the wire helps just keep everything down and in place. So we're just going to counter wrap this around a few times here. Go 4 or 5 up into the thorax, and then we can capture it off. So it's basically a Prince Nymph, but instead of peacock herl for the main body, you're using the tinsel there. Just kind of a different look, a little bit of a flashy pattern. Spin out our wire, and then we can dub our thorax region. Those tails to go the way that I want them to there. All right, so our next step here is to add a little bit of dubbing. I'm using this UV peacock eye color. It's a nice greenish, it's a dark color with a nice greenish hue to it. And we're just gonna add a little bit here for our thorax. I always like to use dubbing wax when I'm working with ice dubbing, just because it's so picky. Sometimes it's tricky to get it to stick to thread, but some dubbing wax helps that quite a bit. Loon makes a few different consistencies that are really nice. They're they're low tack and high tack. There's good options for both of those. So just gonna create a nice thorax here, dub it up. And then we'll come back in and we'll add our goose buyouts for our wing buds. So clip a couple of those off with a quill. And we're just gonna lay them right on the top here. I want them to be just short of the body. So kind of fix it in place and then do a couple of loose wraps. And check that out, that one looks pretty good. So we'll come back in and we'll mirror that on the other side here. And you can see I'm crossing them as I tie them in. That keeps them kind of splaying away from each other there and sticking out the top real nice. You can move them before you cinch everything down, but once you got them in place, just pull down on them, pull towards yourself however you like to cinch material down, and then we can clip out the excess here, just like so. Get some thread wraps to clean that up. Those tag ends to lay down nicely for me. And then we can come into our whip finish. Clip out our thread. Ooh. And then I'm going to add a little bit of head cement, some glue here, just to keep everything down in place. There's your completed Flashabou Prince Nymph. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. If you have a fly you'd like to see us tie in the future, leave us a comment below. For more fly fishing and outdoor related videos, subscribe to the AvidMax YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you out there.
My heart over my mind.